Good evening and welcome to the Evening News for Tuesday, January 6, 2015. I'm Petit Lisantis. Thank you for joining us. Making your headlines this evening, Aishalton residents want controversial teacher removed after shaming a community. Ombudsman made no pronouncement on complaint of embattled Character News columnist Freddie Kissoon. Europe-bound cargo ship intercepted with about 120 kilograms of cocaine. Jagdeo urges peaceful elections in Sri Lanka. GGMC accused of betraying workers' trust as fresh protests start, and Rohi disregards talks about presidential candidacy. And now for the news in detail. Residents of Aishalton Village Region 9 are calling on the relevant authorities to remove a controversial teacher and resident from their community. Let's find out why in this report.
The Aishalton Village Council says that it has had it up to its neck with school teacher John Adams and is now seeking an eviction notice for him. The council's chairman Bernard Conrad told the Evening News that after village meeting a recommendation was made to have Adams transferred to another region. Conrad told this newscast that over the period of time that Adams has worked at Aishalton, there have been several issues that had been raised. Conrad accused Adams of fondling some of his students. There were also accusations that the teacher frequently went to school with alcohol, which he drank during school hours. When asked why none of these issues were previously raised, the chairman said that persons were previously afraid to come forward. He said that with the latest incident involving the teacher, persons had become frustrated and started to complain. Adams recently claimed that he was assaulted and slapped by two presidential guards during a visit and meeting of the head of state at Aishalton.
General Secretary of the People's Progressive Party Civic, Clement Rohi, says that the recent Aishalton incident involving a resident and a presidential guard might very well have been a plot by the opposition to turn residents against government. Here are the details.
Rohi said while the party is not upset with the move by the opposition to prolong the issue, it has a responsibility to protect the name and reputation of the head of state, who is also an executive member of the PPPC. Late last month, it was alleged that a 29-year-old male teacher was assaulted by two members of the Presidential Guard after he disregarded a warning to desist from heckling while the head of state spoke. Rohi said that despite a pronouncement by the head of state about the issue, the opposition and certain sections of the media continue to use the incident as a political football.
It comes as no surprise to the PPP that the political opposition and the opposition media have played up and in fact overplayed the anti-Ramatara and anti-PPP sentiments. Clearly the objective is to divide and rule over our Amerindian brothers and sisters, a old and horrible but destructive colonial policy of the past.
He said that the attempt to continue along this path will not be successful since the party has already established its presence in that and other Amerindian communities.
Under the PPPC government, Amerindi development has advanced by leaps and bounds. In all areas of Amerindian life, Guyanese can bear witness to the actions and the results of the PPPC developmental programs for our Amerindian brothers and sisters. In education, health, village development, Amerindian inclusion in policy development and implementation, the record of the PPPC administration is exemplary.
Rohi said the successes of the Amerindian people are a stark contrast to what they experienced under the PNC government. He cited the current parliamentary ruckus, where the combined opposition has cut significant funding toward developmental projects in these communities. Days after the alleged incident in December last year, the Partnership for National Unity had called for an immediate investigation to be launched into the alleged assault of the school teacher. For the Evening News, I'm Alexis Rodney.
In this report, we hear that local authorities intercepted a cargo ship destined for Europe on Monday night with over 120 kilograms of cocaine. The details in this report.
The cocaine was found stashed away under the wooden flooring of a flat rack that is used as a bed for containers. The narcotics is said to have a street value of over US $10 million. According to reports, the Customs Anti-Narcotics Unit was called in by the Guyana Revenue Authority, who received a tip-off about possible contraband goods on the vessel. Head of CANU, James Singh, explained that his agency, along with members of the Guyana Police Force and GRA's Drug Enforcement Unit, collaborated under the Container Control Program to make the bust.
Acting on information that they would have received from their counterparts, CANU provided assistance to them alongside members of Customs Drug Enforcement Unit. This container was found on board a vessel that had come from Suriname. A check of the vessel showed that this container behind you had contraband inside. As such, we offloaded the container, brought it to Georgetown, where the examination was done, and so far we haven't a final count, but it's well over 120 kilos of cocaine. The next vessel, the next destination for this would have been Spain, Holland and Belgium, where the vessel was going.
The vessel was docked at a wharf in Linden, where it uplifted a consignment of bauxite destined for Europe. Local authorities on Monday evening swarmed the cargo ship. The captain and crew members who were on board the vessel were taken into custody to assist with the investigations. Only last week, Home Affairs Minister Clement Rohi lauded CANU for doing exemplary work in carrying out its mandate. Reporting for the Evening News, Vanu Manekchan.
Less than 2 months after being promised salary increases, workers attached to the Guyana Geology and Mines Commission have once again taken to the streets in retaliation to broken promises. Here is more from Royden James.
Yet again, workers attached to the Guyana Geology and Mines Commission have taken to the streets for a salary increase which was promised to them some months ago. Senior Industrial Relations Officer of the Commission, Dennis English, noted that there are no clear indications as to the whereabouts of the payment document which was submitted to the Minister for approval.
The action taken here this morning is as a result of management, the board, or the general leadership of the Geology and Mines Commission being in violation of the terms of resumption that we would have signed at the Ministry of Labour. We entered into that agreement based on a commitment given by the relevant authority, and which we accepted in good faith. And now that we hear that those agreements were not honoured, there was a time frame set out and stipulating the terms of resumption. And with the view that the issues would be resolved within that time. To date, the issue is not being resolved, and there is no clear indication as to where the document that was submitted to the Minister for payment is.
English said too that the management has now betrayed the trust of its workers.
The workers met and collectively decided that we'll resuscitate our industrial action. So that's why we're here today. Yeah, because what we did, we break off and return the situation to normalcy as a result of what proposal was put to them. As I said, we accept in good faith. We trust and we believe it, but now we feel that they have betrayed that trust, and that's bad for good industrial relations. It does not contribute or augurs a good industrial relations climate and a cordial union management relationship.
Industrial Relations Officer for the Guyana Public Service Union, German Hermanstein, is calling for management to honour the proposal of its workers.
Well, what this action is saying is that what is on the table, honour it. It is not just 2014, which deals with the SV Jones, but also there's a proposal for 2013, by which management recognized that the deadline was approaching. They have not put anything substantial on the desk, and therefore what they did is try to bluff the workers by giving a proposal for 2013, which is a 1-month payoff. We recognize that this was not in keeping with what was set out in the terms of resumption. The terms of resumption specifically said that all negotiations should have been concluded by the end of the life of the board, which ended on the 31st of December 2014.
Meanwhile, in a telephone interview with the chairman of the GGMC board, Clinton Williams, he noted that he has no clue of what is going on and cannot comment further on the issue. In November last, workers attached to the Guyana Geology and Mines Commission had down tools after not given a salary increase which was promised to them. Reporting for the Evening News, I'm Royden James.
Stay with us, you're watching the Evening News. Welcome back. You're watching the Evening News. Kaieteur News publisher Glenn Lal and his wife Bina will make their third appearance at the Georgetown Magistrates Courts in the tax case against them on Thursday. The details in this report.
On November 24, the case was adjourned by Magistrate Judy Latchman to January 8, 2015. The Lals co-accused remigrant couple Narun Tandio and Garbasi Brijnannan are both expected to appear in court during this hearing. The four are charged with attempting to defraud the Guyana Revenue Authority and by extension the state of over $100 million in taxes payable on the import of two luxury SUV vehicles from the U.S. The Brijnannans imported the vehicles under the government's remigrant scheme, allegedly for the Lals. The allegations against the pair read that between June 18, 2013 and September 20, 2013 at Lot 200-201 Camp Street, a place in the Georgetown Magisterial District, they made and subscribed to false declarations on two Lexus LX 570 motor vehicles to be $44,158 respectively, contrary to Section 217 of the Customs Act, Chapter 8201. In addition to those charges, they were slapped with 2 counts of aiding and abetting in a conspiracy to defraud the government of due taxes. To all the charges, the Lals pleaded not guilty. Reporting for the Evening News, Davina Samaru.
Ranks of the Guyana Police Force have arrested a man after he was found with an unlicensed firearm in his possession on Tuesday. According to a police release, at around 2 hours 45, police ranks were on a mobile patrol when they stopped and searched a man on Avenue of the Republic in Georgetown. During the search, an unlicensed .32 revolver along with 3 rounds of ammunition were discovered on his person. The thus far unidentified man was arrested and taken into police custody to assist with the investigation. A Partnership for National Unity said it is in favor of the non-disclosure of negotiations on a pre-elections coalition with the Alliance for Change, but remained cautious given earlier pussyfooting by the minority opposition party. Here is more in this report.
A Partnership for National Unity General Secretary Joseph Harman on Monday confirmed that the party was in receipt of a proposal from the Alliance for Change stipulating the way forward on the coalition talks. The AFC over the weekend said a draft proposal stipulating that talks could only be held in secret was submitted to APNU for the party's consideration. However, when contacted by this newscast, Harman explained that from where he stood as APNU's General Secretary, secret talks would not be an issue. He opined that he was in favor of the AFC's prerequisite to dialogue, that is, a secret agreement on the part of both parties. According to Harman, APNU will be discussing the agreement in the near future, but he was unable to say when this will be. He explained that APNU has many partners and some of them are on vacation, which is out of jurisdiction, hence they would not be able to discuss the AFC's proposal immediately. When further pressed about possible time frame for APNU to give an answer to the Alliance for Change, Harman said that he was not willing to publicly put a time frame on the party's in-house discussion on the issue. Reporting for the Evening News, I'm Royden James.
In this report, we hear that while plans continue to move ahead for coalition talks between the Alliance for Change on a Partnership for National Unity, the electorate is keenly interested in the results of such. Here is more in this report.
Co-chair of APNU, Dr. Rupert Roopnarine, said that from his view, the electorate was very much interested in what the future holds in terms of an APNU-AFC coalition contesting the next general and regional elections. In an invited comment, Dr. Roopnarine said voters are interested in whatever alliance that can secure a victory at the upcoming elections against the PPPC. Political observers note that the announcement of coalition talks by the AFC may be a way of gaining political points, and the notion to form a broad coalition with APNU may not be genuine. Many persons have pointed to the mixed signals coming from the smaller political party. However, Rupnarain said that mixed signals were not uncommon in the political sphere. The AFC, in a release over the weekend, said it would only be willing to go into talks with the APNU if the dialogue is kept secret. Reporting for the Evening News, Davina Samaru.
The Ombudsman made it clear today that he earlier conducted an official investigation and made a ruling on the complaint filed by a controversial Kaiser News columnist. Here are the details.
Amidst reports from sections of the media that the Ombudsman ruled that former lecturer of the University of Guyana, Freddie Kissoon, was wrongfully dismissed by the council and is owed compensation, Justice Winston Moore made it clear that he did not make any such ruling. Moore also denied probing the matter related to Kissoon's dismissal from the university in 2012. In a release, Moore explained that he received a complaint from Kissoon alleging wrongful dismissal against the council, and in keeping with the practice of the office, forwarded a copy of the complaint to the registrar of the university. He further clarified that he obtained council's opinion on the issue, and therefore the office of the Ombudsman was advised of council's opinion on Kissoon's complaint. The legal advice obtained points to Kissoon's dismissal in breach of Statute 25 of the University of Guyana Statutes, which provides for notice and a hearing as preconditions for dismissal. As such, the letter stated that Kissoon is entitled to compensation from the university. Reporting for the Evening News, Davina Samaru.
Stay with us, more news on the other side of the break. Welcome back. You're watching the Evening News. Weeks after failing at seeking out the presence of politicians, including President Donald Ramotar, to attend a civil society summit, Chairman of the Ghana National Council on Public Policy, Dr. Philip Mozart Thomas, seems to be avoiding media queries about recent allegations. Here is more from Alexis Rodney.
Thomas, who declared that the council through a 3-day public consultation was successful in establishing the Guyana National Civil Society Council, has been accused by the management of the Guyana International Conference Center of fraud, presenting an invalid check to the organization. Thomas on December 17 commenced a 3-day civil society summit at the conference center, bringing together a wide cross-section of society, including representatives of several organizations that were selected to form part of the GNSCC. The summit got off to a disappointing start as a few big names that were slated to address the audience never showed up. Among them were President Donald Ramotar and opposition leader David Granger, who in separate telephone interviews disassociated themselves from the organization and Thomas. The conference center said the GNCPP owes it a total of $4,208,360 for the services provided to the organization for its civil society summit held between December 17 and 19 last. It said too that the GNCPP might very well be bankrupt. Efforts by this newscast to contact Thomas for his response in relation to the allegation were unsuccessful. In fact, the chairman had promised to return a call to this newscast on several occasions, but never did. When contacted several times subsequently, both of the chairman's mobile phones were turned off. For the Evening News, I'm Alexis Rodney.
Tyrell James, 31, of Lot 120 Brutus Street, Agricola, Greater Georgetown, was remanded to prison after being arraigned for the capital offence of murder. The man appeared at the Georgian Magistrates Court before Chief Magistrate Priya Sinarain Bihari. The charge read that on December 31, 2014, at Arukuru Village, Northwest District, he murdered Augustine Samuels, called Jack. He was informed by the Chief Magistrate that the offence was a capital one and he was not required to plea. Samuels, a logger, met his demise after he attempted to bring peace during an altercation between two men at a popular drinking spot in the village. The next hearing for this matter will be on February 16 at the Mabaruma Magistrates Court. People's Progressive Party Civic General Secretary Clement Rohi today disregarded talks that he and Junior Finance Minister Bishop Juan Echil are listed to become the party's presidential and prime ministerial candidates.
Talks are that the party might be following the trend where all of its general secretaries became the presidential candidates. But Rohi at his weekly press briefing earlier today disregarded such talks, reiterating that the executive committee is still in consultation on the issue. He again related that the committee will have to give confirmation on the two posts, after which it will make an announcement.
There's no need to rush as yet to a prime ministerial candidate when you haven't settled actually and confirming the presidential candidate of the party. So when the time comes, when we reach that bridge, we will cross it. Like I said the last time, it's not necessarily a constitutional matter. It's not a matter that is, has to be done.
Pressed to find out if he has any interest in the presidential candidacy, Rohi responded,
I would wait. I would wait. I'm a member of the executive committee of the party, and all those issues will come up for discussion at the appropriate time. We settle on the total package, so that when we made an announcement on one, we don't have to be giving you an announcement on one and for you to wait an announcement for the other. You will hear the total package in due course.
Rohi said the issue of deciding on a prime ministerial and presidential candidate does not reside only in the PPPC's chamber. He reminded of the internal ramblings within the APNU, which still has to work out its alliance talks with the AFC on the possible presidential candidate. For the Evening News, Alexis Rodney.
22-year-old Andrew Ridley of Lot 468 Annandale, East Coast, Demerara, was remanded to prison after being arraigned on 5 counts of robbery under arms. The minor appeared at the Georgian Magistrates Court before Chief Magistrate Priya Ryan Bihari. The first allegation read that on December 12, 2014 at West La Penitence, Georgetown, being armed with a gun, he robbed Sherwin Gillhouse of 1 gold chain, 1 gold and diamond ring, a Samsung Galaxy cell phone, and $100,000 in cash. The second and third charges allege that on December 22, 2014 at West Rumfeld, Georgetown, being armed with a gun, he robbed Kevin Craig of a sum of money and Curtis John of a Samsung Galaxy cell phone, a wallet, and $43,000 in cash. The fourth charge read that he robbed Colin Nelson of a cell phone and $50,000 in cash while armed with a gun at West Rumfeld on December 27. The final allegation read that on December 27 at West Rumfeld, being armed with a gun, he robbed Tessa Waterman of 1 Nokia cell phone and $4,000 in cash. The unrepresented defendant pled not guilty to all of the charges read to him. The matter is set to recall for January 26 for statements. Stay with us. Your regional and international news are next. Welcome back, and now for the look at some news in the region. Newly appointed Caribbean Community CARICOM Chairman, Bahamas Prime Minister Perry Christie, will address the 2-day meeting of the China Community of Latin American and Caribbean Countries in Beijing later this week, according to an official statement issued there. It is said that Christie, who took over the chairmanship of the 15-member regional grouping on January 1, will deliver a statement on behalf of CARICOM and is scheduled to meet with the President and Premier of China for discussions on regional issues during the January 8-9 meeting. Over the past few years, CARICOM and China have been further strengthening their ties in the social-economic front, with the region benefiting from more developmental aid as a result of several bilateral initiatives. And internationally, a Belgian man serving a life sentence for rape and murder will not be allowed to have doctors end his life as he had requested, the Justice Minister there said. Cohen Gaines said he was respecting the latest medical advice of doctors treating Frank van den Bleeken, who is unable to control violent sexual urges. Van den Bleeken will be moved to a new psychiatric treatment center, he added. Belgium is one of 3 European countries that allows euthanasia for terminally ill people. But Van den Bleeken's case is the first involving a prisoner since the assisted dying laws were introduced 12 years ago. His request to undergo euthanasia won approval from Belgium's Federal Euthanasia Commission last September after years of requests from the state to help him end his life. Van den Bleeken, 52, was convicted in the 1980s of multiple sexual assaults and murder. He had argued that he preferred to die rather than spend the rest of his life in prison. Here now are your bridge reports. The Demerara Harbour Bridge is expected to be closed at 5 hours on Wednesday, January 7 for a period of 1.5 hours. And the Berbice River Bridge is expected to be closed at 5 hours 50 on Wednesday, January 7 for a period of 1.5 hours. Stay with us. Sport is next.
Every day presents a few more challenges. Keeping your business running shouldn't be one of them. That's why we work every day towards ensuring your overall satisfaction. With over 100 skilled technicians and engineers equipped with the tools and skills to help you do more. With the largest parts inventory in Guyana, over 10,000 line items readily available. Driven by your success is not just a set of words to us. It is a code by which we live. That is why we are proud to say that we are Bridge.
Welcome back, and now for a look at your sport headlines. South Africa confirms world #1 spot with 8-wicket win over the West Indies. Barnwell to lead Ghana Jaguars in Nagico Super 50 tournament. Australia dominate first day with India. And Prince Ali to challenge Sepp Blatter for FIFA presidency. This segment of sport is sponsored by Maccorp.
Every day presents a few more challenges. Keeping your business running shouldn't be one of them. That's why we work every day towards ensuring your overall satisfaction. With over 100 skilled technicians and engineers equipped with the tools and skills to help you do more. With the largest parts inventory in Guyana, over 10,000 line items readily available. Driven by your success is not just a set of words to us. It is a code by which we live. That is why we are proud to say that we are Bridge.
Dean Elgar struck an unbeaten half-century as South Africa confirmed their world #1 ranking with a comprehensive 8-wicket victory over the West Indies in the third test to seal a 2-0 series success at Newlands on Tuesday. South Africa won the series by 2-0 with one match finishing in a rain-affected draw. The left-handed Elgar made 60 not out as South Africa reached a victory target of 124 shortly before lunch. Elgar put on an unbroken 73-run stand for the second wicket with Hatem Alma on 38 not out when victory was achieved. The sides start a 3-match T20 international series in Newlands on Friday to be followed by a 5 one-day international. All-rounder Chris Barnwell was on Monday appointed captain of the Ghana Jaguars 14-man team to head the West Indies Cricket Board's Nagico Regional Super 50 tournament, which bowls off on January 15 in Trinidad and Tobago. Here is more from Rajiv Bisnath.
Barnwell will lead the local side, which includes veteran batsman Shiv Chandra Paul. Left-arm spinner Veerasamy Perumal, who was recently named in the West Indies 30-man provisional squad for the 2015 World Cup, was appointed vice-captain. Vishal Singh is set to make his regional 50-over debut, while Stephen Jacob makes a return to Guyana colours after leading combined composites and colleges in the same tournament last year. Also making a comeback to national duty is Milorda batsman Royston Crandon and Jonathan Fu, who gets a recall after a 4-year absence. Guyana has been informed lately, especially with the ball during the West Indies Cricket Board 4-day regional tournament that is currently on hold to facilitate the playing of the 50-over tournament. 8 teams will do battle for supremacy out of 2 groups, with the Jaguars being placed in Group A alongside defending champions Barbados Pride, Windward Islands Volcanoes and CCC. The 14-member squad was named as Rajendra Chandrekar, Trevon Griffith, Shivnarine Chandrapal, Vishal Singh, Christopher Barnwell, captain, Raymond Reefer, Anthony Bramble, Veerasamy Prumal, vice-captain, Devendra Bishu, Ransford Beaton, Paul Wins, Stephen Jacobs, Royston Crandon and Jonathan Fu. The coach of the team was confirmed as Eason Crandon, while Rayon Griffith was named assistant coach.
David Warner scored an emotional century as Australia piled up 348 for 2 on the opening day of the 4th Test with India at the Sydney Cricket Ground. Warner smashed 101 just off 114 balls, and opening partner Chris Rogers fell 5 short of 100 as the Australian pair put on 200 for the opening wicket in the first Test at the SCG since the tragic death of Philip Hughes, who was killed playing there 6 weeks ago. Warner and Rogers were dismissed after lunch, but captain Steve Smith on 81 not out and Shane Watson 56 not out ensured the hosts maintained the momentum with an unbroken 3rd wicket stand of 114. FIFA's Vice President Prince Ali bin Al Hussein will challenge incumbent Sepp Blatter for the leadership of the World Football governing body. The Jordanian prince, aged 39, will stand as a candidate at FIFA's presidential elections on May 29, where Blatter, 78, will be seeking his 5th term in office. Prince Ali, president of the Jordanian football since 1999, said it is time to shift the focus away from administrative controversy and back to sport. The headlines should be about football and not about FIFA. And finally, Kane Williamson and BJ Watling's world record 6-wicket partnership of 365 put New Zealand in charge of the 2nd Test with Sri Lanka at the Basin Reserve. Williamson scores 242 not out and Watling on 142 not out as they surpassed the 352 Watling put on with New Zealand's captain Brendan McCullum against India last year at the same ground. The superb partnership allowed McCullum to declare the Kiwis' 2nd innings on 524 for 5, setting Sri Lanka's 390 to win the level at a 2-match series, and the Tourists go into the final day on 42 for 1. And that has brought us to the end of the evening news for today, Tuesday, January 6, 2015. Do remember to get a copy of tomorrow's edition of the Ghana Times for the details of these stories and other news. I'm Petty Santos. Thank you for joining us.